From the outside, Loni Anderson was the picture of Hollywood glamour, the radiant, golden-haired star who captured America's heart as the unforgettable Jennifer Marlowe on WKRP in Cincinnati. But behind the dazzling smile and adoring fans was a woman silently carrying the weight of heartbreak and emotional scars. She endured humiliation, received shocking and even embarrassing things in the mail, and still loved deeply, believing she could save the man who hurt her the most. Now, the world mourns as Loni Anderson, the legend who turned heads and stole hearts, has left us forever, taking with her a lifetime of secrets, pain, and unshakable strength. Just one day before what would have been her 80th birthday, television lost one of its brightest stars. Her passing marked the close of an era, a time when comedy, charm, and glamour lit up American screens, and she was at the very heart of it. Fans around the world were left wondering, what secrets did her final years hold? And how did a small-town girl from the Midwest rise to become one of TV's most unforgettable icons? This is the story of a woman whose beauty was matched only by her wit, whose elegance was rivaled only by her strength, and whose journey proved that behind every captivating smile is a mind and spirit impossible to break. Born in St. Paul, Minnesota, on August 5, 1945, Loni Anderson was destined to stand out. The daughter of Clayton Carl Andy Anderson, an environmental chemist, and Maxine Hazel, a former model, she inherited both intelligence and striking beauty. Growing up in the quiet suburbs of Roseville, Minnesota, Loni's magnetic presence was impossible to ignore, even before she could fully imagine the world that awaited her. She was a small-town girl with Hollywood dreams, and long before she set foot on a soundstage, she had already captured the attention of everyone around her, hinting at the legend she was about to become. In 1963, during her senior year at Alexander Ramsey High, Loni Anderson was crowned Queen of the Valentine's Day Winter Formal, a glittering early glimpse of the spotlight that awaited her. But her path to stardom could have begun with a very different name. As she later revealed in her autobiography, her father once considered naming her Loni, until he realized that mischievous teenage boys might twist it into something inappropriate. In the end, he chose the simpler, striking name Loni, a name that would one day grace television screens in millions of homes across America. After high school, Loni enrolled at the University of Minnesota, but her heart was never in the traditional path. The stage and the camera called to her with an irresistible pull. While many young women of her generation dreamed of marriage and a quiet life in the suburbs, Loni's ambitions soared far beyond her small-town borders. She wasn't content to blend in, she wanted to shine, to break barriers, and to make her mark on the world of entertainment. It was only a matter of time before her beauty, determination, and unshakable confidence would launch her toward the fame she always knew was within reach. She had a desire to act, to perform, and to evoke laughter and genuine emotions in others. The formative years were challenging, shaping her into the woman she would eventually become in ways that few could foresee. Like many hopeful actors, she encountered a series of rejections. Casting directors would glance at her and see merely a beautiful face, failing to recognize that behind those bright eyes lay a keen intellect and innate comedic timing. She accepted minor roles, appeared in commercials, and relentlessly pursued her dreams even when the industry attempted to pigeonhole her. Her first significant experience in show business came through local theater productions in Minneapolis. She took part in community theater, dinner theater, and any small venue that would allow her to refine her skills. These were not glamorous performances, often held in repurposed warehouses or church basements, but they instilled in her the essential principles of comedic timing and audience engagement. It was during this period that she cultivated the work ethic that would support her throughout her career. She would practice for hours, not only memorizing her lines but also grasping how each character contributed to the narrative. She acquired makeup skills, learned how lighting influenced her stage presence, and even assisted with set building when necessary. This hands-on involvement fostered a profound respect for every facet of production. The transition to Los Angeles in the early 1970s was both daunting and thrilling. She arrived with limited funds, a tiny apartment in North Hollywood, and an unwavering determination. Like countless other aspiring actors, she juggled waiting tables between auditions, took on odd jobs to cover her rent, and confronted the harsh reality that success might elude her. What transpired next would revolutionize television. In 1978, something extraordinary occurred. The creators of a new sitcom titled WKRP in Cincinnati were on the lookout for someone exceptional to portray Jennifer Marlowe, the receptionist at the radio station. They needed someone who was both gorgeous and intelligent. Someone who could appear like a movie star, wear high heels, and command respect. After noticing her likeness to Jane Mansfield and her Monroe-style innocence, the producer chose her after viewing a swimsuit print that made her think of Farrah Fawcett. However, Loni had no desire to be just another gorgeous face. She had health issues. She demanded that Jennifer Marlowe had intelligence, competence, and self-control. Jennifer is quite explicit about the duties and responsibilities of her position. She doesn't prepare or get coffee, type letters, or take dictation. Loni was expressing her opinions about how women ought to be portrayed on television. During the 4 years that the show lasted, from 1978 to 1982, Loni Anderson rose to fame. The most intelligent person in the room, Jennifer Marlowe frequently found solutions to issues that the males were unable to resolve. She was respected by all, had the best income at the station, and was never treated like a piece of ornamentation. On the sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati, the stunning actress played the sensual yet intelligent character of Jennifer Marlowe, who was stylish and strong. Jennifer resonated with American women. In addition to her beauty, she exudes self-assurance, intelligence, and an unwillingness to be undervalued. She was nominated for 3 Golden Globes and 2 Emmy Awards for the part, demonstrating that she was not only a gorgeous face but also a gifted actor who could compete with the industry's top performers. However, the success of WKRP presented unforeseen difficulties that put her to the test in ways she never would have imagined. The cost of being famous on TV. In the late 1970s, becoming a television star was not the same as becoming a movie star. Every week, television personalities were invited into people's homes and treated nearly like members of the family. Because of this intimacy, people felt as though they knew the celebrities they watched on a personal level. For Loni, this meant that the public was very interested in Jennifer Marlowe's personal life because of her fame. Her wardrobe choices, dating choices, and even grocery shopping excursions suddenly became the focus of attention. Despite her efforts to get recognition as an actress, the woman was continuously photographed and scrutinized. It was an exciting and overwhelming transition. She went from having trouble making ends meet to being well known everywhere she went. Everyone wanted to interview the stunning blonde from WKRP once her image appeared on magazine covers, but fame also brought pressure she wasn't prepared for. Casting directors and television producers started to offer her parts based on her WKRP persona. They wanted her to portray different Jennifer Marlowe characters. Gorgeous, glitzy, yet ultimately secondary roles for the main male characters. Loni, who wanted to try out new roles after training as a professional actress, was upset by this typecasting. She also had to deal with the double standard that many gorgeous actors had to deal with. Critics would ignore her humorous abilities as just being gorgeous on camera, focusing more on her looks than her performance. She had put a lot of effort into making Jennifer Marlowe more than simply eye candy, so this remark was particularly hurtful. Her interpersonal interactions were also impacted by the continuous attention. When every possible romance turned into tabloid material, dating got more difficult. She encountered men who were occasionally more interested in her celebrity status than in getting to know her personally. Others were uneasy with the public attention that accompanied her presence, or were intimidated by her notoriety. Loni handled fans and the media with grace and professionalism in spite of these difficulties. She truly valued the viewers of the show and recognized that her success was reliant in part on public goodwill. In private, though, she was figuring out how to live in a society where privacy was a luxury she hardly ever had. In the 1980s, being famous and attractive in Hollywood meant being scrutinized constantly. Every public appearance, every clothing, and every connection was examined and critiqued. Especially after she started dating one of Hollywood's top stars, Loni's personal life became the subject of tabloids. One of the most talked about relationships of the decade was her relationship with Burt Reynolds. At the height of his popularity, Reynolds starred in films such as The Cannonball Run and Smokey and the Bandit. It was as though Hollywood royalty had been born when they reunited. Their 1988 wedding was covered by the media circus. Outside, photographers set up camp. The public was obsessed with the golden pair, and reporters followed them everywhere. The attractive television actress and the dashing movie actor appeared to be a match made in heaven. However, their relationship was complex behind the glitzy pictures and red carpet appearances. Being the focus of attention was nothing new to either of their powerful personalities. The strain of ongoing media attention eventually got to them. Every dispute made the news. Reporters covering entertainment examined each dispute. Together, they have a son named Quentin. However, media attention overwhelmed even that joyful occasion. Loni found herself defending her marriage, her career, and her parenting choices all the time. The woman was having a hard time adjusting to life in the spotlight after portraying such a self-assured character on television. In 1994, their divorce was public and ugly. Millions of people found amusement in what ought to have been a private family affair. Newspapers and publications all throughout the nation covered the court cases, custody agreements, and asset distribution. Information uncovered during the divorce process demonstrated how difficult their relationship had been. Property, career earnings, and support agreements were the subjects of financial conflicts. With both parents wanting what was best for their child while juggling their own hurt and rage, the custody dispute for their son Quentin got especially difficult. The divorce received constant and frequently unjust media scrutiny. Their relationship was portrayed by tabloids as more fantasy than reality, with stories based on hearsay and half-truths. In addition to defending her behavior during the marriage, Loni also had to explain her personal and maternal qualities. There was a huge emotional cost. After spending years in a relationship she thought would endure forever, she watched everything fall apart in the most obvious way imaginable. Previously seen as gorgeous and well-groomed, the woman was now juggling heartbreak, legal stress, and ongoing media attention. Despite the situation, friends from this era said she was incredibly resilient. She kept working and taking care of her kids despite having to deal with attorneys, court appearances, and media attention. She refused to allow her job or identity be defined by the divorce. Even while there were definitely times when she felt completely hopeless, the experience gave her important insights into relationships, celebrity, and inner power. She discovered that no amount of exterior glitz could solve interior issues and that even the most visible relationships eventually boiled down to private moments between two people. She also found strength reserve she was unaware she had. Everything she believed to be true about herself would be put to the test in the aftermath. Loni had the option to withdraw from public life after her well-publicized divorce, despite the headlines and heartache. A lot of famous people in her shoes would have stayed out of the spotlight, nursed their wounds, and hid away. But Loni wasn't like that. She had made it through media attention, Hollywood rejection, and small-town expectations. Now she had no intention of giving up. She kept performing, appearing in TV films and making cameos on well-known programs. They demonstrated her range as an actress even if they weren't as well-known as WKRP. She performed in humorous and serious roles and even dabbled in producing. Perhaps more significantly, though, she concentrated on being a mother. Her top objective was to raise Quentin away from the unrelenting media spotlight. Despite having well-known parents and growing up in Hollywood, she wanted him to have as regular a childhood as possible. In addition, Loni's first marriage to Bruce Hasselberg, which lasted from 1964 to 1966, produced a daughter named Deirdre. It was difficult to juggle the obligations of parenthood and work, particularly when every parenting decision could make headlines. In 2008, she married musician Bob Flick after falling in love once more. This connection was different, it was more private, quiet, and based on respect for one another rather than publicity. They appeared to have a mutual understanding that permitted them to preserve their unique personalities while constructing something together. The public was purposefully kept out of their courtship. Loni was determined to shield her current love from the same pressures that had caused her past grief since she had learnt from her previous high-profile engagement. A founding member of the folk group The Brothers Four, Bob Flick was aware of the entertainment business but wasn't looking for attention. Only close family and friends attended the tiny, private wedding ceremony. This celebration centered on the commitment two mature people were making to one another, rather than the circus of the media that had accompanied her last marriage. Having previously been married, Loni and Bob were aware of the effort needed to maintain a successful marriage. Bob astonished even Loni's closest friends by providing her with understanding and stability. He fostered her familial ties, supported her job without attempting to overshadow it, and gave her the kind of stable companionship she had always desired but had never quite found. They were able to avoid the drama and concentrate on creating a sincere partnership because of their age and experience. Loni also had the opportunity to successfully merge families through this marriage. Bob's former spouse had children, and the two of them made their home a warm and inviting place for all of their kids and grandkids. Family get-togethers turned into happy events where realistic family values blended with Hollywood glitz. A new aspect of Loni started to show as the years went by. My Life in High Heels, Loni's autobiography, was released in 1995. There was more to the book than just gossip about famous people. It was a candid examination of the realities behind the dazzling facade, the difficulties of juggling work and family, and what it meant to be a woman in Hollywood. She talked on the human costs of living your life in public, the pressure to always look flawless, and the challenge of being taken seriously as an actress when you're viewed as a sex symbol. Fans seldom ever saw the side of Loni that the book revealed. Sensible, considerate, and surprisingly astute. She had 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Her life was made more joyful by becoming a grandma. Without cameras capturing every moment, she could spoil her grandchildren, see them develop, and savor family time. Loni started to choose her public appearances more carefully as she grew older. Instead of choosing whatever paid the most, she chose tasks that meant something to her and respected her privacy. She had discovered the distinction between fulfillment and fame. She also started advocating for a number of topics, utilizing her notoriety to draw attention to matters that were important to her. She recognized that her name could assist raise money and exposure for vital work, even though she never sought attention for these initiatives. However, her body started to turn against her even as she discovered serenity. Loni's later years weren't all about peaceful retirement and family get-togethers, they also involved fighting behind closed doors. She had health issues that she mostly kept to herself, like many others her age. The woman, who had always seemed so resilient and powerful, was coping with problems that made her realize how mortal she was. People who knew her saw changes. She started to choose her public appearances more carefully, not just because she preferred privacy but also because some days were more difficult than others. She now had to carefully control and save the energy that had felt limitless for the things that were most important. Her health issues were mostly kept under wraps, but they were serious enough to alter her daily schedule and long-term goals. Friends saw her walk more cautiously, get weary more readily, and have to postpone appearances she would have gone to without question in the past. She nevertheless handled these restrictions with the same poise that she had displayed throughout her career. Despite her physical difficulties, Loni's humor and mental clarity persisted. She was still able to make well-timed jokes and give sage advice to friends and family who came to her for help. She had learned from her experience to enjoy the little things in life and to value the basic joys that had previously been eclipsed by the obligations of her job. She also started to think more deeply about her legacy around this time. She took the time to arrange her personal documents, photos, and professional mementos. She wanted to make sure that her kids and grandkids would have physical mementos of her trip and the things she had discovered. During these years, her family became her top priority. She spent endless hours with her grandchildren, sharing knowledge and anecdotes that could only be shared by someone who had experienced the heyday of Hollywood. She was able to guarantee that her experiences and ideals would be passed down to the following generation at these legacy moments. Loni kept the poise and sense of humor that had characterized her throughout her career in spite of her health issues. During this period, friends who paid her a visit described a woman who, even when she was obviously not feeling well, could still light up a room with her grin and tell a well-timed joke. She reflected throughout this period as well. Finally, the lady who had led such a public life had the privacy to reflect on everything that she had learnt, all that she had survived, and all that she had achieved. It was in these silent times that her actual strength was revealed. Just one day before turning 80, Loni Anderson, the adored actress most recognized for her work on WKRP in Cincinnati, passed away. Her spokesperson confirmed that she passed away at a Los Angeles hospital after a protracted illness, which led to the recent news of her passing. Fans who recalled her as the lively, larger-than-life Jennifer Marlowe were shocked by the news. On WKRP in Cincinnati, Loni Anderson played the astute, high-heeled receptionist Jennifer Marlowe. Anderson passed away on Sunday. She was 79, the AP said. After a protracted illness, Ms. Anderson passed away in a hospital in Los Angeles. According to Cheryl J. Kagan, her longtime publicist. She died just one day before her 80th birthday on August 5, which made the timing more tragic. Her family released a statement saying, "We are heartbroken to announce the passing of our dear wife, mother, and grandmother." With her closest loved ones by her side, it seemed as though she had hung on as long as possible. An era came to an end with her passing. She was one of the last reminders of a different era of television. When actors could become household names through a single part that defined not only their careers but also a generation's perception of what it meant to be both clever and beautiful, and when sitcoms could produce characters that became cultural icons. It's simple to concentrate on the glitz, the marriages, and the press while recalling Loni Anderson's life, but doing so obscures the true significance of her contributions and her accomplishments. Jennifer Marlowe, the sophisticated, ferociously bright receptionist on WKRP in Cincinnati, was the radiant creation of Loni Anderson. Anderson was more than just a pretty face, she added depth, humor, and affection to a part that altered her career and the way women were presented on television. Loni made Jennifer Marlowe stand out in a time when female characters were frequently portrayed as either one-dimensional love interests or defenseless victims. She was the smartest person in every room, despite her beauty. She earned respect by being competent and self-assured rather than by being hostile or angry. For its time, this was revolutionary. Jennifer Marlowe demonstrated that it is possible to be both smart and glamorous. That being the most competent employee at your job did not have to conflict with taking pleasure in your appearance. Numerous additional figures who would follow in her high-heeled footsteps were made possible by her. Beyond the role, however, Loni herself demonstrated what it meant to be a Hollywood star and yet be respected. She had to deal with media scrutiny of every decision she made in life, public humiliation during her divorce, and ongoing pressure to be relevant in a field that frequently rejects women once they reach a certain age. She persisted, though. She carried on creating art, developing personally and as an artist, and finding contentment on her own terms. She demonstrated that becoming a sex symbol was not the end of the world. That actresses may remain talented and relevant while they aged gracefully. Even when the last curtain has fallen, her influence will live on. A legacy etched with love and laughter. The 1978 to 1982 television series WKRP in Cincinnati was set in a struggling Ohio radio station that was attempting to redefine itself through rock music. Alongside Anderson as the stunning and intelligent Jennifer Marlowe, the cast also includes Tim Reed, Jan Smithers, Frank Bonner, Howard Hessman, and Gary Sandy. There was more to the show than just humor. It was about people figuring out where they fit in a world that is changing, about underdogs wanting to succeed, and about the strength of having faith in oneself when others don't. Wearing luxury clothes and never a hair out of place, Loni's persona personified all of these themes. Despite her gorgeous persona, her co-stars recalled her as professional, humorous, and surprisingly grounded. In addition to having impeccable timing when delivering a joke, she was able to listen to someone's issues and provide sincere guidance. She realized that being a member of a television family required more than just looking good on screen, it meant supporting everyone. Fans of the show never forgot her. People would congratulate her for creating a character that had meaning for them, even decades after the last episode aired, when they saw her on the street. Jennifer Marlowe became an inspiration for women who wanted to be taken critically without giving up their femininity. Loni's personal tale turned into just as inspiring. She overcame a tough childhood, navigated the treacherous waters of Hollywood, survived very public heartbreak, and emerged more potent. She showed that it changed into viable to reinvent yourself, to locate love again, to build an existence based in your very own values as opposed to other people's expectations. Her 4 marriages may have made headlines, however in addition they confirmed a female who by no means gave up on love, who believed that happiness turned into feasible even after unhappiness. Her willpower to her youngsters and grandchildren proved that circle of relatives may be the muse that kept you grounded even if the sector tried to knock you down. In the course of her many years in the highlight, Loni Anderson had become more than just an actress. She had become a trainer, even though she possibly never meant to tackle that role. Every project she confronted, each triumph she celebrated, and each mistake she made became a lesson for others. Looking from afar, she taught younger actresses that expertise mattered more than look, even in an industry captivated with appears. She showed them that it turned into feasible to age gracefully whilst nevertheless being applicable and respected. Her career proved that longevity got here now not from looking to live younger for all time, however from developing as a person and an artist. For women out of doors of Hollywood, she validated some things similarly important. She confirmed that it turned into okay to be proud of your look at the same time as also being proud of your mind. She proved that femininity and power weren't opposites, that you may wear high heels and nonetheless command a boardroom, that beauty and intelligence ought to coexist flawlessly. Her personal struggles taught extraordinary lessons. Her public divorce showed that even the maximum glamorous relationships required paintings and once in a while ended notwithstanding all people's best efforts. Her capacity to rebuild her existence later on confirmed that failure wasn't very last, that heartbreak wasn't everlasting, and that it became constantly possible to begin over. Possibly most importantly, she taught human beings that authenticity was the most appealing nice of all. Regardless of all the pressure to be perfect, to in no way show weak point, to always have the proper solution, Loni remained honestly herself. She might be susceptible in interviews. She can be prone in interviews, honest about her errors, and real approximately her struggles at the same time as nonetheless maintaining the respect that made her a position version. Anderson died on August 3, 2025 following an extended infection at the age of 79. The girl who had added a lot joy to television audiences who had made thousands and thousands snort and sense accurate about themselves turned into long gone. But demise cannot erase the impact she made. Somewhere right now, someone is looking reruns of WKRP in Cincinnati and discovering Jennifer Marlowe for the primary time. They're seeing a girl person who is complex, shrewd, and unapologetically assured. They may be getting to know which you don't should select between being beautiful and being clever, among being female and being robust. Her autobiography keeps to encourage women who are navigating their own challenges in careers, relationships, and self-attractiveness. Her tale reminds them that setbacks aren't endings, that public failure doesn't outline your really worth, and that it is in no way too past due to discover happiness on your own terms. The entertainment industry she helped shape continues to evolve with new actresses constructing on the inspiration she helped create. Each strong woman character who refuses to be underestimated. Every lady who insists on being taken critically no matter how she seems owes something to the direction Loni Anderson helped carve. Her circle of relatives, friends, and fanatics will recall various things approximately her. A few will remember the laughter she added to their living rooms each week. Others will do not forget her grace underneath pressure for the duration of difficult instances. Nonetheless others will do not forget her kindness, her professionalism, or her ability to make all of us around her sense vital. However, perhaps the maximum critical aspect to do not forget is that Loni Anderson proved that you can be exactly who you desire to be, no matter what all and sundry else idea. In a global that constantly tried to put her in a container, she insisted on being an entire man or woman. She changed into lovely, sure, however she turned into additionally funny, smart, resilient, loving, and actual. She faced the same struggles we all face, however she faced them with courage and dignity. She showed that it became viable to live to tell the tale fame without losing herself, to endure public scrutiny without turning into sour, to find pleasure even after sorrow. The golden-haired lady from Minnesota who dreamed of making people snigger achieved greater than she probably ever imagined. She created a man or woman with the intention to stay for all time in television history. She survived and thrived in one of the global's maximum hard industries. She raised children, located love more than one times, and built a life that become rich in relationships and which means. Most importantly, she showed that at the back of every stunning face will be an outstanding mind, a courageous heart, and an unbreakable spirit. That lesson will outlive any sitcom, any headline, any Hollywood story. Loni Anderson's adventure from small-town Minnesota to TV immortality reminds us that true splendor comes from residing existence on your personal phrases, facing demanding situations with grace, and in no way apologizing for being precisely who you're. Her legacy lives on in each girl who refuses to be underestimated and all and sundry who believes that laughter and love can overcome any obstacle. What elements of Loni's brilliant life encourage you the most?